What's up, Capoeira Nation? Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for every single of you who are listening to this Capoeira podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, if you are tuning in right now and if you are listening to this episode, please, 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 I know you're watching or I know you're listening. Okay, I know you're following me on Instagram. So please give me a subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to get to the 100 subscribers. I know it's a tiny bit, but slowly we can grow together, and slowly I can grow even bigger. The more I grow, that means more information for you. So soon, very very soon, I don't know when, I'm going to start giving away some capoeira gear. Could be a capoeira hat, could be a capoeira shirt, could be a capoeira something. Okay, so please, capoeira sticker. If you like stickers, please give me a subscribe. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Listen to this episode. It's going to be fun. It's always fun with the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much. Let's roll. What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Be positive training, and of course, liking the podcast and listening to every single episode. Shout out to everybody that listening to the podcast and all the single capoeiristas out there. If you don't know me, I'm Instructor from Capoeira Indianapolis, and there's a lot of information, cool information back on all the episodes. And today, I have a big pleasure, a new friend, all the way from Canada, and Instructor Fofuxo. How you doing, man?
How are you doing, Hashishi? Thank you so much for having me, man. It's my honor. I'm very, very humbled to be here and really happy that I have this opportunity to connect with you and maybe share a little bit of our work here and our story here and in capoeira in general, not just here, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the time and share your experience. Is like I said before we start recording. Is like the capoeira game. You learn from everybody. Okay, perfect.
Absolutely, man.
And to before we start jumping into any small question information for the capoeira community, what is your social media so people can follow you and find whatever information that is there in your social media that I want to share at some point in the podcast?
Of course. So our social media is very easy to find. You can look up Capoeira Toronto or TCC4C, acronym for the Canadian Center for Capoeira. If you put up a hashtag TCC, the number 4 and C, you'll be able to find us anywhere. Google, Instagram, Facebook. Super, super easy. The easiest way to connect to our social media and follow us and stay in touch with everything pertaining to
Cool.
our
Nice. Well, you guys listen there. Follow there so you can find cool information. There's going to be, once you follow, you're gonna know what I'm talking about, and or listening to the very end, and you're gonna know what I'm talking about once I start mentioning this. Okay, so I saw the you were originally from Israel, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, and you moved to Canada. So tell us a little bit your information or your a little
My story in
story.
capoeira.
Yeah.
So I'll try not to make it too long. I have a tendency
No
of
worries.
sometimes getting passionate about something and
No worries.
doing a little bit TMI.
No worries. Don't worry.
So I started capoeira originally in Israel in 2003 with
Nice.
Mr. Cueca in Israel. He's now in Russia. Back then, capoeira was in Israel was very young. It was just starting off. I think capoeira in Israel is in general very young. I think only in the 90. I remember exact year. I think 92 or 90 when Mestre Daniel, Mestre Dan started, uh, you know, planting the first roots and seeds of capoeira in Israel.
Yeah.
And I started, Mr. Coca started Mestre Dan, who's the head of our Israeli Center for Capoeira. He leads it until today. It's very beautiful work there. And when I started Capoeira at first, it was, like a lot of kids. I was 13 years old.
Nice.
I remember I just finished 4 years of swimming and I wanted to do something new. I was that little chubby fat kid in school that everybody made fun of, that age in between when your body's going through all these changes and
Yeah, you don't
you're
know
going
what's
for
going
some,
on.
yeah, you're going for all kinds of, issues, especially as a teenager, like social is also can be very challenging. So I was looking
Yeah.
for something to really bring me into focus. So I did 4 years of swimming, and then a friend of a family said about this capu something. My mother's friend son did it with Mestre Dan actually, and they recommended us to try it. So we thought, whatever, let's give it a shot. It was between this and karate.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
needless to say, which one I chose. I remember coming to the class at Sirkin, which is the big shopping mall where Mestre Cueca used to teach.
Uh,
The first place he taught in Petah Tikva, in my city.
okay.
And I remember coming before class and I seen people flipping and, and I thought to myself, I want to learn that.
I know. Yeah, that's how I was too.
And that was it, like most teenagers, and like, what, I want to learn that. So mom signed me up. So I
Nice.
remember I started capoeira the first year. I didn't learn any cool flips. I'm like, okay, let's sign up for another year. I'll probably learn that. And
Nice.
then the second year passed by, and I didn't learn those flips just yet. I learned other things, but not the flips just yet. And the third year passed. And by the end of the third year, I already started, something in me just started changing. I was already like 16, 15 and a half.
Yeah.
Starting, I felt my body started changing, all that stuff. I'm like, wow, this is capoeira. So I like really fell in love. I, like that year, I remember I really started deeping into it. So like by my fourth year already, yellow belt. I remember I would, I spend 5 days a week in capoeira. I would go
Oh,
there
cool.
after, and this it's a lot like Brazil too. Everybody's kind of hanging out on the street. The weather is always warm. There's many similarities between the cultures. So we
Okay.
definitely connected to a lot of those. Like after school, you go and you do capoeira, you jump around, you hang out with your friends from school, you go to the grass. So I would go up before my class. I would go to the grass, jump with my guys, with my friends for the group, and after that, I'll help Mr. Kweka in the class, and after that, do art training, and after that,
Yeah.
hoping we do the after art training, we would hope that Mr. Kweka would allow us to join the adults Hoda in the end, right? So we were kind of sitting in the other room waiting
Yeah.
patiently.
To challenge a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah. To
exactly,
find
right.
that challenge. Yeah.
We wanted to be with the big guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We were like 14, 15, 16. We wanted to play with the
I can do
adults.
that. I can do that too. Yeah, I was thinking too.
Exactly, right? We also wanted to challenge them,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Because
for
we were
sure.
teenagers, so we're a lot of times a little bit faster. We
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to
for sure.
challenge them, and unfortunately, that doesn't always work because
Yeah.
in Israel,
It-
actually, and this is something I think is something that was maybe kind of transferred in a way to Mestre Dan and Mestre Cueca and a lot of the generation of founders of Capoeira, the first generation of Mestre Dan students that afterwards spread out all over Israel. We started teaching everywhere.
okay.
This idea of turmas, generations, yeah, like every like there'll be a group of people they'll join over the course of 1 or 2 years, and eventually they'll become one generation. They'll start getting
Y-
their belts together or almost the same belts together,
Yeah.
and as the progress is essentially kind of form these generations. So each generation kind of motivates the one below it, and vice versa, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it's a
with
cool.
me, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Sasuna and Krojo, he also has a lot of kind of that. He'd like to do it like turmas, back in I think the 80s and 70s too. He did that a lot. So it really helps motivate and unite, especially more advanced capoeiristas after you've been capoeira for already quite a few years, or you're a little bit more advanced. And back then, I was part of, I guess, the second generation we call it. We kind of had before Mr. Kwek moved from Israel to Russia. It was about like three generations. It was like I was in the second generation. So the first generation were, the first like the guys who were there for the first couple of years when Mr. Kwek started teaching. Till
Yeah.
today, these guys school me. We
Oh,
it's
cool.
kind of like they're all my big brothers in capoeira. I look up to them. Most
That's
of them
awesome.
are teaching all over the world with beautiful, beautiful work and beautiful schools. In Italy and in Michigan and in Russia and in
So
Israel.
cool, man.
And yes, that was it. And I grew up watching these guys, so it always gives you motivation, and we're always kind of soaked into it. And then when I was about 17 and a half or so, I came to visit my mother. My mother and my sister, who were living here, they moved here shortly before to
Okay.
Toronto. And I thought to myself, wow, I really see, building something here. At 17 years old, I already thought about the possibility of moving. So I moved. I decided to make that the leap of faith to move. It was not for capoeira. It was, I just saw an opportunity that I thought, what, I want to stay there for a few years, see what's going on. I always kind of had an open mind, so I
Yeah.
wanted
Yeah.
to
Just
explore new things.
explore. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought to myself, worst case scenario, I'll stay here for a few years, I'll get my citizenship, and if I still want to go back, I can go back to Israel to live. I had family there and everything. It's not for capoeira. And, like most of us, it was kind of my journey. I stopped capoeira when I came here at first. I was training for a little bit, but, it was very hard. I was very, I was completely, I went from one extreme to the other.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in capoeira every day, all day, 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and suddenly I'm far away from my teacher. I'm far away from the energy that I know, from the capoeira that I know. You know, capoeira here was very different. Beautiful, of course, but like very different from what I'm used to. And it was very hard for me because I grew up just watching one. This is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
capoeira that I know,
And you
and it's kind
expect
of
that like the capoeira be like that everywhere. The
yeah,
community, the community. Yeah.
exactly. Sometimes it's if you get that first shock, it's almost like when you're, like a baby bird that is always kind of in its nest with the mom and everything is always comfortable, but then suddenly you go outside into the jungle and like, whoa.
Whoa. Yeah, yeah.
So it was a bit hard. I kind of, I started exploring other things. I stopped capoeira for about maybe 4 years. Um, there was a period that I didn't even hold the berimbau, I think, for like a year and a half.
Oh
And
wow.
back in retrospect, I say no, I don't have regrets over it. There was a little bit,
Yeah, for sure.
there was a time that I was maybe beating myself up a little bit due to that fact, but I realized it was part of my process because I
Yeah.
find if you're going through that, and I think something that I actually learned in the later point in my capoeira life, capoeira practice, or whatever you want to call it, is that many of the capoeiristas that I was admiring, that I thought was were capoeira from A to Z all the time, every all the time, every
Yeah.
day, were also going through these processes, right?
Yeah.
So I realized
Yeah.
that it's okay, it's normal. So this 4 years passed by, and I was remember there was an event in 2012 where I came to a friend of mine's event in Michigan. You know him, Contra Mestre Baz.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
actually that
Yeah.
that first generation that I told you about, the Mestre Cueca students. Yeah,
Oh
one
yeah.
of the big
Yeah.
brothers.
Awesome guy.
And
Awesome guy.
very, very, yeah. And I remember I came to his event, and also Mestre Cueca was there, obviously. And I remember that after that event, all these feelings, all those, all that energy, that unexplainable feeling you get after a capoeira event, all those
Yeah.
things started kind of flowing right back, and I'm just kind of, sitting there breaking my head, like, what am I gonna do? I can't do without capoeira. So I
Yeah.
really thought about it, and the way I saw it, there was three options. Yeah,
Okay.
one, I either start, start classes, start groups, start find a way to play the capoeira that I like.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not about building a biggest capoeira school, not about any of that nonsense. It was not about any of that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
about just I want to play the capoeira that I like. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to play the
Yeah.
capoeira that I like, and I want to be able to share capoeira the way that somebody shared with me. Because for me, capoeira is a tool for self-improvement and self-empowerment,
For
and it's
sure.
our obligation to be able to pass it to other people.
Yeah.
And it was interesting when I like I sat down and thought about, okay, there's really three options I have. Yeah, option
Yeah.
number one, I either start classes here to try to to play the capoeira that I like with people
Yeah.
who play capoeira that I enjoy playing, or I join another capoeira school, or I stop capoeira completely. And as far as I'm concerned, there was really only one option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Definitely not the
I think
last one.
exactly. I mean, it's obvious. We know which one it was.
Yeah.
It was a very rocky journey to say the least, because I stopped capoeira for about 4 years. In the meantime, a lot of my guys, my capoeira, brothers and sisters, they continue training. Some of them already teaching or
Yeah.
helping, Master Cueca in Israel, or building their own groups, whatever. And there I was completely out of it, disconnected from the world, and I need to slowly start getting into it, and like connect to the roots, connect to my teacher, connect to to capoeira,
Yeah.
train, and all the aspects that come with being a capoeirista, not to mention being able to share it with other people. So it was definitely an uphill battle. From I kind of thought about it, and I kept saying to myself, I'm gonna start teaching, and then I found a place, but it didn't work out at first because there was a community center that we couldn't really make things work over there. And in
Okay.
2015, around 15, we found a place that was a little bit better, but it was also very challenging. So we had about a year and a half of adult classes running over there.
Okay.
And as the whole process, this whole process kind of unveiled, I did my best to travel as much as I could,
Oh yeah.
to
Yeah.
meet new
Especially at the beginning.
people. Exactly. to try to make it to events as much as I can, especially if my teacher or if my capoeira school is involved. Yeah, it's a capoeira that I also, I'm used to playing. So at the time, it
Yeah.
was one of the ways for me to feel connected to the family, as they say.
Yeah.
And around, I think 2017 is when we started. Really, that's when we felt a really kind of we started actually having a capoeira, school per se,
Yeah.
because I started feeling a bit of a difference in terms of how I feel about my capoeira. I started moving to the next step of learning. Okay, how do I do that? How do I do that? And it always came from a place of how can I do better? Because there's something that Mr. Cracker told me a few times, and I said, certain things that kind of just register in my mind. I said, like, everybody's like a person is like a magnet, and the same thing with capoeirista.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're charismatic, you're gonna be attracting charismatic people towards you. If you're a good capoeirista, you're gonna be attracting good people towards you. And then it kind of started going from there. I did everything in my power to continue growing as much as I could in capoeira.
That's
Because
awesome.
one of my thoughts was, and still until today, between us, yeah, between us and the rest of whoever's listening to the podcast, is we all get the feeling of almost, man, am I doing the right thing? Is this
Hundred
good
percent.
enough?
100%.
Is this a mistake? Maybe
Yeah.
this is not gonna work out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's
Should
gonna
I
be crazy
quit?
enough to go?
Yeah. Should I
Yeah,
quit? Should I keep going? Why I'm coming here? Yeah.
exactly, right. And then, but it's one thing that I realized that if there's a really one secret to be able to progress or advance or grow, whether as a capoeira student or teacher, because just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you're not a student. You're more of a student than you were before.
100%. Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
no,
I
you're
agree
more
with
a
that.
student than you were before. You just know enough that you can share with someone else, and then that
Yeah.
person can share with someone else. Was the fact that, sorry, I lost my track of thought now.
No worries. No, no worries. I know
I
that
lost my track of thought.
for example, when you talk about like during that time of you teaching, you get into your own head and you are like, oh, I'm not doing it right. Why I'm doing this?
Hmm.
And this is so boring. Why is not people coming to class? Should I? And then I remember my last trip to Brazil. I told
Hmm.
all those thoughts to one guy, uh, uh, or contramestre there, and he was like, at the beginning, I live in France for many years, and I started one little school there, and then when I left, that school grew a little bit more. But
Hmm.
at the beginning was really hard.
Hmm.
But as long as you win the war in your head, in your own head, you can make it through. Just
Yeah.
don't let it get you in your head, and just win that war. I know it's not easy, but you can do it. And I was like, everything clicked. When I came back, I was like, man, that was so easy to say. It's like, oh, okay, now. And then I was like, hey, I know I can do it. I know I'm gonna make it. I know someone is watching out there. And then
Yeah.
that's pretty much how I went, like through got out of that process.
And keep trying and keep trying again. I think that's and you said it. You said it very well. A lot of people, they give up, and that's really the one thing that that will stop you, because you don't know. You might be giving up just a second before the next break goes through.
Yes, yes.
And I'm sure it happens to you too. But one of the biggest challenges that I've had, especially the first 2 years when we started teaching, because my thought was this, I'm a like I'm a young capoeira, young capoeirista. I just like to do capoeira. Who's gonna come and try to learn? Who's gonna come and learn from me?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
the last thing I thought. Who's gonna be crazy enough to give me their child?
yeah.
When I started capoeira classes for kids 3 years ago, I was petrified. I was counting the days and hours until we starting the class. We starting the first class, and my thought was, "Oh my God, I'm gonna mess this up. Oh my God, I'm gonna mess this
Ah,
up. Oh my God,
man,
I'm gonna
yeah.
mess this up." I thought, who's gonna be insane enough to give me their most precious creation, their child?
Yeah, yeah.
But guess what happened? It kept growing. It kept growing actually to the point where many times throughout the year, I had to tell parents that I'm sorry, I don't have
Can't take
any more
anymore.
space because we don't only have this many classes and they want more days. And, it's kind of like, so maybe, like we were doubting ourselves, but no, obviously we're our worst own critic.
That's
And
awesome, though, because if they have, so sorry to interrupt you, but if they
no,
wanted more classes, is because their kids were liking it. So the kids was like, oh, more classes, oh, more capoeira, which is awesome. Which is that's the point. Like you say, like you overthink it, and then you are like, oh, it's actually they're liking it.
Yeah. Is there's one thing that I personally learned from my very, very, very small humble journey as as somebody who is fortunate enough to share capoeira with other people is that you fail and you fail and you fail and you fail again, and that's
A
what
hundred
success
percent,
is,
a
right?
hundred percent. Yeah.
There's I'm a big fan of quotes, and there's this quote that I remember actually when I heard it from is um, that success is failing over and over again without losing motivation.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I
A
mean?
hundred percent. Yeah. 100%.
Because that's literally when you only overcome things. So you only really grow and learn and adapt when you're going through challenging experiences, and this applies to everything in your life.
100%. A hundred
So the
percent.
same thing I think with capoeira, when especially if like you, like me, or like you, who people who are who are very young instructors who are trying to build and share with the community what we were so fortunate to receive
Correct.
from whoever was our teacher or our mentor in capoeira or master in capoeira or whatever the term that you used. It doesn't really matter. Being is really constantly learning and not taking everything personally.
A hundred
I
percent.
take things very personally, and it really prevented me from advancing as a capoeirista. And I realized, what, when somebody's when you're lucky enough to somebody give you a feedback,
Yeah.
or you get a self feedback by the simplest way, which is a failure or overcoming a experience or something that didn't work out just quite the way you wanted to,
Yeah.
is
You
exactly
you
fruit
you just
nutrition.
gotta analyze how you did it and why you did it and what happened and why you failed instead of like getting
Exactly.
stuck on the mindset. And now, how was the like very very short the capoeira community there in Israel? Do you think it wasn't like, oh, at least when or the last time you were there, is a like all capoeira community like very very tight, very like together?
Yeah. So first thing important to understand is that Israel is a very, very small country.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Like very small country. You can go from the most north and south, to the northest point to the southest point in about 7 to 8 hours, and the east to west in about
Oh,
two or
okay.
three hours.
Okay.
So if you have schools in a few places, then it's very easy to constantly come and maintain. There's no now. It's actually Capoeira Israel is so big that we actually even started implementing all kinds of rules to make sure that everybody spreads out and continues growing capoeira, because it's so close that there's even like a limit of like this much distance that you can have between the
It
capoeira
is
school,
cool.
because
That's so
there's so
funny.
much capoeira. Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
So there's always gonna be people that associate more with each other, people
For
associate less
sure.
with each other, but a
100%.
lot of in capoeira community in Israel for the most part grows together. It, like we said, it started with those levels and this generation, and continued from there. And now there's more generation and amazing capoeiristas that are just wow. Like have so
Like,
much to teach and to share.
yeah.
So it
So,
really is
so
cool.
you think the capoeira community there is very, very tight? Like, they
Yeah,
help each
it's
other?
yeah. I think the biggest thing over there, I personally think that this is my personal opinion, that one of the
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that helps capoeira stay how it is now, like very, we said, very close and constantly supporting each other. Like any family, there's bound to be sometimes, like the cousin here is not happy with the brother here,
Yeah,
but that's why you meet together and you solve these issues like
yeah,
anywhere else, right? Because
yeah,
in the end of the day, one person's success is everybody's success,
yeah, for sure.
right? And
And
that's
more time we share together, we can actually make it grow. It's not the same like if you are your group and have a little hard five
yeah.
six people and you have 5 6 people there, and then now we have almost 20 people in the hoda, and that's way much
Hmm.
better than have 6 people in the hoda.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
we help each other grow and then be like more people. Like for example, in Venezuela, when I grew up, there was Jesus do Brasil where I started capoeira, and
Hmm.
there was Ensala, and then
Hmm.
sometimes we made Hada, and then I started Capoeira Brazil, and then all the Sensala people came to our Hada, and man, that was probably like 15, 20 people in the Hada, and then we more people pass by. Oh, what is all these people making noise? And then you spread the voice faster.
100%. Together is almost. is always better. You know, it's
Yes, yes. It's pro capoeira. It's not pro whatever shirt we carry.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's actually uh, connects to one of my favorite ladaias. I've heard this one time from Mestre Pernalonga. Is I believe it was Mr. Penalonga, if I'm not mistaken. It has
Okay.
ladai
Okay.
that says que você anda ligeiro, meu Deus, nessa vinda anda só. Mas se tu quer chegar longe, acompanhado bem melhor.
Nice. I like it.
Right? And
Yeah.
that's, I think, it's the perfect representation of what capoeira is. You know, in today's,
100%.
you know this as well as I do. Sometimes it'll be, you know, politics or, you know, or this school or that school, and it's, you know, that's okay because capoeira, you know, it's not my place to say anything. I'm a young instructor, but it's because, you know, capoeira is an art, and because it's an art, and some people can take it in, you know, whatever direction that fits for them, and just because it works for me doesn't mean it'll work for you, or vice
Correct.
versa.
Correct.
But if we're together, it's still we all win because in the end of the day, I don't know a single capoeira teacher who doesn't want to grow his school, who
Yeah.
doesn't want to
100%.
share
Yeah.
capoeira with more people, who doesn't
Yes.
want to have a full studio, who
Yeah.
doesn't want, you know,
Big
his
Hoda.
house
Yeah.
exactly right, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's our success is your success and vice versa. So
100%. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I focus a lot on the community. Because is no point. Like I always say this, capoeira was made to bring people together. And is no point for us as a capoeirista just like, oh, I'm better at you, or you better than me, or whatever point is. You we have to break the barrier and be like,
hmm
let's do capoeira, man. Let's just have fun and let's do capoeira. Smile. Oh, I got a hashtag. Let's smile, keep going, and let's shake hands, hug, and just let's next game.
absolutely,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
and how did the capoeira community receive you there once you start teaching and and growing and all that?
Capoeira community in
In,
Toronto,
in
or
Toronto, yeah, yeah, in Toronto.
Good man. You know, capoeira community in Toronto is very interesting and diverse because there's some groups have been here for longer, some groups have been here for a little bit less. We are actually the newest and youngest capoeira school in Toronto, to the
Oh,
best of
cool.
my knowledge, that is
Okay.
currently active. Um, good. You know, there's in Toronto. I found that in the last probably like 8 years, maybe more. There's more events and more community and more groups come together.
Yeah.
There's always going to be maybe sometimes groups that or schools that prefer to, you know, stay within their own community and whatnot, and that's totally fine. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think as when people are ready, in the end of the day, they'll come out.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
for the most part, it's been great. But you know, as soon as you're starting to do some work, uh, people start noticing you.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
sure. For sure.
people don't value what you're saying. What you're saying is beautiful, but people will value what you're doing.
Yeah.
Whenever you're starting to doing something for capoeira, whenever you're starting to show something from, you know, do something for the community, you know, help get more students, obviously, you know, have more presence. So obviously you and continue to support the community too. Yeah, in the beginning I would try to go to every event I could, even if I wouldn't be able to go to, especially before I had, you know, any students that I can take with me. Uh, I would go to every event I could. Maybe I won't be able to go to the whole weekend of the event, but I'll go to the batizado,
Yeah.
go
For
like
sure.
everybody, you know,
You show up.
support, you
Yeah.
know, show up, support, play the instruments if that was acceptable, whoever organizing the event. Yeah,
Yeah. For sure.
sometimes some events they want just, you know, their team to do the music or whatnot,
Yeah.
and that's totally fine. It's their house,
Correct.
and
Correct. Yeah.
I'm the guest. I'm a guest in it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And then you mentioned a couple times about Mr. Cueca being Israel and all that.
hmm
Um, after this point, I want to get to something very cool. A very cool story I heard from Mr. Cueca.
hmm
Will you share a little bit of the work of Mr. Cueca there in Israel?
So, Mr. Kweka started, if I'm not mistaken, started capoeira in '94, and he started teaching in Israel. I think it was either '97 or '98, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Okay.
and he moved. He was teaching in Practica, the city that I grew up in, until about 2000. I think it was 13, and then at which point he moved to Russia. So
Okay.
he's been in Russia ever since. Yeah, there's a very beautiful, very big capoeira community in Russia. Huge capoeira, like insane, ridiculous. The biggest country in the world. So capoeira, I think in the
That's
last few
awesome.
years, especially, spread like wildfire.
Oh
So
wow, that's awesome.
yeah, Mr. Cueca moved there in 2013, and then slowly, started building everything up. He already has tremendous amount of experience and so much knowledge to share. So when he came here there, slowly start building it up. He used to come there a lot for events, so he had some groups that already knew him and some members of the community that knew him. So it's easier to continue supporting each other in Moscow.
Yeah, for sure.
And now there's more and more capoeira growing all over the world. I think there's like 20 more, 30 more cities that have capoeira in there now.
So
It's
cool,
really
man.
beautiful to see. And he never stops to inspire me. Maybe it's
Yeah.
my maybe because I'm a little bit biased, but you know,
No, no, but that's
this
awesome.
definitely.
And I also know that he created a really cool work there in Israel, right? That he created this kind of like capoeira institution where he teaches capoeira instructors how to teach, right?
Oh, the instructor course, yeah.
Yeah,
So this
yeah,
is
yeah.
actually a course that was. It's actually an interesting story. So this is an instructor course that we've been teaching in Israel
Okay,
for, or Master Kwek and Master Dan. The senior instructor has been teaching Israel for quite some time. And I think '98 there was a new law that passed in Israel that required everybody to go for some kind of a professional certification course,
okay.
especially everybody that practices any kind of physical activity or physical exercise.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was done in the Wingate Institute of it's like an Olympic institute. It was a very intense course. So in Israel, they started doing this course, and the full course was very very comprehensive. It was a month long, 3 weeks, very 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 intense, and obviously it's a little bit more expensive, but really worth the investment. You go through methodology of training and like biology. Like they go through a lot of different stuff. And first aid, they're very very thorough, but it's very time consuming. And
Okay.
then every year the capoeira instructors in Israel would have to do this course legally to be able to also teach.
Oh, okay.
And
By
over
by the like Israel government, they have to have these.
Yeah, by law you need to have a certification of some sort. This
Oh,
was
okay,
because of the law that was passed in '98, I think,
okay,
that required everybody that practice any kind of physical exercise or activity to go through an instruction course or
okay,
certification course.
okay. Yeah,
So in the capoeira school, the Israeli Center for Capoeira essentially had to create an instructor course and
yeah.
and certify themselves.
Smart.
Yeah,
Very, very smart.
and this course is something that took place every year and certified all these Israeli instructors still today. And in the last 10 years or so, as we started having some teachers outside of Israel, going to teach outside of Israel and continuing with the same capoeira school and same association, we also started bringing Master Kwek and Master Dan started bringing the course outside of Israel.
Okay.
Outside of Israel, it was done in a bit of a different format. It was done a bit of a different format because it was set in Israel. The course was quite intense, 4 weeks. You sleep there, you eat there, you only come home for the weekends.
Oh, cool.
And then outside of Israel, they started doing the course in a weekend format. So they would have about 40, 50 hours, you
Okay.
know, and you would spend 3, 4, 5 days, the course of 8 to 10 hours every day studying. They put in the gist or the majority of like the important stuff. So maybe 60, 70% of what usually gets covered in the full course in Israel,
Yeah.
and started applying it in the practical instructor course in Israel. And it's been growing and growing and
That's
growing. I
awesome,
know
man.
in Russia as well, it's been growing because a lot of capoeira, hungry capoeira teachers there to come every year to continue learning and growing. By taking the course, getting new ideas and understanding
Yeah.
of how to
Methodology, how to
teach.
teach. Yeah, yeah, pretty
Because
much.
yeah, because you can be an amazing capoeirista, but
If you don't know how to pass
teaching.
it, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah,
You can be
for
an
sure.
amazing capoeirista, but there is a science to teaching as well,
100%.
in my
Yeah,
opi-
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah.
Uh, and it actually started growing a lot. Mr. Dan started doing outside of Israel. They did it in Michigan, they did it in Italy. I know Mr. Dan was doing the course with Mr. Alemão in Germany, and when they're bringing it to other parts of the world. And then again, this course was not never meant for just our capoeira school or any
Yeah,
like it's for the
ca-
capoeira community, and
yeah,
many of the elements of the course they're not even necessarily pertaining to capoeira teaching. They are in teaching in general. They're talking
Yeah,
about
for sure.
psychology. They're talking about
So cool.
mindset,
Yeah.
understanding how people act, how people are, and I think that's really important because my personal opinion, I've from when I went outside of my capoeira community or my capoeira home turf, and I sometimes met amazing capoeira teachers,
Yeah.
and some teachers with so many years of experience. I was very surprised and shocked sometimes even to find that like these teachers should have full schools, and sometimes their school, I'll go to their class and they'll have 5 students or 10 students in their class, and but I would think like this person has so much to offer. This like this master, I'll be dying to teach to learn from them.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go to another, sometimes like a little city somewhere. This guy is teaching who might not be even affiliated with the school, which is irrelevant, doesn't matter. But his classes are packed, and I thought to myself, wow, this person only doing capoeira for 5 years, 10 years, and cool. So what is the secret? Like what is
Yeah.
different? What is it doing different?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
found that capoeira is an art, so it constantly changes and develops.
A
Constantly
hundred
changes and
percent. Yeah.
develops,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
know that I think was Mr. Paulão that he said, Mr. Paulão do Ceará, that he said, capoeira is always changing, capoeira is always evolving, and
exactly,
he adapts to any situation. Yeah.
exactly. It's perfect because it's actually, what you took the words out of my mouth, Thomas, because it reminds me of something that I heard one time from uh, um, Mestre Coruja from Sao Paulo. That I admire him a lot. Like both as a person and then as a teacher and capoeirista, he's incredible, and I really follow him a lot. Even within Cordais de Ouro, for example, there's a lot of different streams and a lot of philosophies and ways of movement. And even within Cordais de Ouro, Mestre Coruja's style and movement has always been very unique, and he
Okay.
passed it along obviously to his students. And he said something one time in an event that I was in, and he said, capoeira is an art, and it changes everywhere you go. You can't necessarily teach in Zimbabwe the way you would teach in England, or teach in
Correct.
Italy the same way you would teach in the U.S. and so
Correct.
forth and so forth. Capoeira adapts and changes, and if we don't adapt and change with it, then we won't be able. It'll be harder for us to expose it to people because people that are coming to our school, to our school or to our classes
A
don't know
hundred
what it is.
percent.
So
Yeah.
they don't see capoeira, they see us. As far as I'm concerned,
Yes.
we are
Yes.
capoeira.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
we show it to them in a way that they like, oh, this makes sense, I like
Yeah.
it,
Yes.
then they'll
Yeah.
stay because this is what they see. They don't know capoeira yet. You're
Yeah.
you're
They don't know capoeira. They don't know name group, or like like you this group or you this you do capoeira.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found this really connected well to the course because the course really helped to made sense of it all. It actually uh, it's very beautiful because we actually, I don't know if you heard, but we were able to do the online instructor course, which is something that was kind of connected with these unfortunate circumstances that we're in with COVID. With
Yes.
the
Yes.
COVID
Yes.
situation.
Yeah,
Uh, you
and
know,
that's actually the point. The next point. That's why I'm asking about Mr. Cueca and his work,
mhm,
because I've seen couple times, multiple times, about that capoeira course online and or capoeira instructors online. And I think it's awesome to give access and to expose this to the capoeira community. And it would be really cool if somebody teaching or somebody teaches out there is listening to this right now, and you get the opportunity to get this course. I think this is amazing. I haven't get it yet, but I need to get it because I want to know more information. I love learning, and I love absorbing new information, and I think this is a very, very valuable information right here.
absolutely. So yeah, I'll be happy to share a little bit of information about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
as I
sure.
mentioned, with the course and on the past, we were able to share it with people by doing in-person course, but because of the circumstances that we're in, sorry, one second. Due to the circumstances that we're in with, the whole COVID and, people in different countries of the world are in different conditions. Some places you can teach, some places you cannot.
Yeah.
With this opportunity to really bring to have this project, which is to essentially cultivate the gist or the important stuff from the course to teach in person and be able to share that with the whole world in a easy accessible format, which is online.
Correct.
Yeah, it was done in a different way, which helped us provide something that never existed before, to have the accessibility to everybody from all over the world.
That's
Capoeira
awesome.
from the whole from the whole community. So the way we did that, a little bit about the course. The way we did it now was we actually just finished the first semester, and we were shocked. We had
Oh,
close to 100
cool.
people. We had close to 100
Wow, that's
people in this
awesome.
course. It was essentially a 10-week period over
Okay.
which every week you would have a unit, and which each unit would be divided into different four different topics,
Okay.
which would be the gist of the course: mindset, methodology,
That's awesome,
music, and the physical aspect. And then you'd have almost lectures on PDF files or audio files in which the topic of the week would be covered, the
man.
subject
Okay.
of the week. And then the best thing is that you don't have to be available at a specific time, a specific date, because you have this information accessible for you forever. One of the things, I
That's
personally took the course
super
in
cool.
person
Cool.
many times before, and I found this was something that I wish I would have had, because
Yeah.
this is brought, put in front of your screen, in front of your face. People are very visual. Put in front of your face, and you
Yes.
see every point, and it starts making sense.
Yeah.
And we were so lucky because it just came in, and I guess came in a perfect timing with this whole situation of COVID, the whole unfortunate circumstances we got caught in, to be able to launch this project. And first, we didn't think it's gonna happen the way it happened, in terms of, we didn't think we're gonna have so many people that are gonna jump on
Yeah.
it right away. And we were able to share with so many amazing capoeiristas from over the world. And we actually just starting this week, just starting our second semester of that same course, because the course
So cool.
broken into 3 levels, and we're
Okay.
doing the level one.
Okay.
We're actually doing level one this week. So if anybody who sees this and afterwards is interested, we still have registration going. So you're more than welcome to reach out to us regarding it. I think this is something that really has something to teach anybody, not even capoeira, not necessarily even capoeira teachers, because a lot of the a lot of the materials over there, and again, I might be biased because it's my teacher, and I've done this course before. When I did it, my mind was a little bit blown, because I thought I knew what to expect, but then when I saw it, I'm like, wow, this helped make so much sense
Yeah.
in
Yeah, for sure.
everything that I thought and everything that I learned before, you know. And I think for everybody in the community, this would be amazing, because the most important
I
thing
think
is
so too.
from this project is that it helps us build a foundation, helps to teach us how to train. And if we can train ourselves, if we have the foundation, then we don't really necessarily have to, have teacher holding us by the hand every day.
Yeah.
Especially more
Yeah.
if you're a little bit more advanced capoeirista,
Yeah,
you
for sure.
can, once you have a foundation, once you know how to train, you can train by yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And like we said before, like this course is not about group. It's just for you to understand how to teach. Besides, doesn't matter group. The
Yeah,
course is for you to understand how the person in front of you can learn, and how to pass what you know, how to take anything knowledge in your head of capoeira and pass it through that person, and just communication. How to communicate with that person. Doesn't matter if we communicate
hmm,
movements or the music or the language or the culture, but we have to learn how to teach.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like anything, you used to constantly need to learn. When you stop learning, you die per se. I
Yeah.
think that way. If you What makes you alive is you constantly change, you constantly
Hundred
develop,
percent.
you learn. And like the goals of this, like one of the things that this course was really unique in, is, like you said, like there's no groups. We don't
Yeah.
have a group. This course is not designed for, this is not something that we're looking to associate with, you know me or Mr. Cueca or Israel Capoeira.
Hundred
It's
percent.
about capoeira. It's about growing our community. It's about everybody getting new tools, everybody learning. you know we
And
had when we're actually very fortunate and blessed to have some very well-known capoeira masters that joined us for the first
so cool.
semester of the course.
Yeah.
And we had, for what's interesting is, actually 90% of the people that we had in the course were not even part of our capoeira school. Yeah, we're not even part of Kudajior, or not even
Yeah.
related to the Israeli capoeira center. It was it was just capoeiristas from all over the world who want to learn, who want
Yeah,
to
for
get new
sure.
teaching, training methods, and that's what it was all about to help really for us to spark the next growth level of next the next wave of growth of capoeira in our communities, in our schools, in our cities, wherever we are, whatever circumstance
100%.
we
Yeah,
are.
for sure. And
And
is this course in English, or how is this course?
so obviously the North American version that we did is in English.
Okay.
So all the information is presented in English and subtitles and everything is English as well. But actually, a lot of even people that are not English speakers can do the English course because a lot of the stuff is actually like closed YouTube videos, so you can see some subtitles. But because of the success of the first course, we're actually translating the course into I think 4 or 5 more languages. So even people that are
Wow, that's
not
awesome.
fluent in English or have a hard time of understanding or comprehending certain things in English, they're still able to participate and able to make the most of it. Because to the best of my knowledge, I think we're right now there's a course in
Okay.
Russian course. There is one in Italian, if I'm not mistaken, uh, in Japanese, and I think Mandarin. If I mean the Mandarin Cantonese, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, okay. 'Cause see, once
So
you guys translate it to Spanish, you can let me know, and I'll spread the voice South America, because I know, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in South America that would love to do it.
yeah, we actually had a few people from South America as well in the first course. But
So
yeah,
cool.
Spanish is definitely. I think Spanish is definitely something that should be looked into because the situation that we're currently right now. I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise. As hard as it
100%.
is, you know, we're stuck at home. We have a lot of this free time, and we
Yes.
have this. We all spend a lot of time on our computers,
Yeah.
whether we're
Oh yeah.
teaching or not.
Oh yeah.
It's just a perfect opportunity for us to stay motivated, to continue growing our communities, to continue, giving back what we were so fortunate to receive.
Yeah, yeah. And what I admired of this work is that is very open for the capoeira community. It's not a specific capoeira style or capoeira group or anything. It's very open for, like you said, he's for the capoeira community, and
It's
I
for
think
everybody.
this what I admire the most, because is something very, very valuable, and I think, again, if you're listening to this, take advantage. Even is this just for instructors or whoever like just want to come to class and learn?
So this course, it's actually it's interesting. It's a question we heard a lot. So this course is for everybody, for experienced instructors who want to learn new approaches, new methods, new perspective of how to teach capoeira, how to share capoeira. I know for beginner instructors who might have had some experience to helping their teacher, but now they're trying to break their own way, kind of put their own stamp, trying to spread capoeira to their community. It's
Yeah.
perfect for them as well. 'Cause it adds a little bit more, tools to the toolkit. It's perfect for advanced students who want to become successful capoeira teacher or just want to learn how to assist their teacher. How to assist the
Yes.
teacher in class with a bit more structure and organization in their methods. And but in reality, it's for anybody, any student, any
That's awesome.
capoeirista who wants to learn
Okay. Okay. No, that's
and
awesome.
learn how to teach. That's all it is. Because
Okay.
you can, we have students that did this course that are in their 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
and they just want to learn how to, you know, teach better or to learn better. Some of these people are just to do capoeira for fun. They're not planning to do capoeira full time or teach it. And then some of
Yeah.
them are school teachers or they work with kids with special needs, or they have some kind of a community outreach program. And
Yeah.
they found that it helped them a lot because it
That's
was
awesome.
connected to their direct work, what they're doing with with kids or whatever line of work they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And now to wrap it up and to close it, because I know we both have stuff to do. the how like a very, very short advice to the capoeira community, or your personal opinion, personal advice.
Don't stop learning.
Nice.
Don't stop learning. Don't stop growing. What might be right for you today might not be necessarily the same thing tomorrow, vice versa. Yeah.
100%.
And to summarize on it, it's very simple. I think that I would just say that there's three rules that we have in our capoeira in our capoeira class in my capoeira. All my students know this.
Okay.
Uh, and I think this should be universal, but this is just my personal opinion. Yeah. Rule number one: when you come for, you leave your ego at the door. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Rule
Yes.
number two: we are all capoeira. We don't have a capoeira school, capoeira group, capoeira, one capoeira master. We're all one capoeira community.
That's awesome.
And the last one is, if you are here, you have an obligation to have fun and enjoy yourself. Otherwise,
Cool.
otherwise, why are you here?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's awesome. I like those three. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh man, thank you so much. The information again, if you guys get the opportunity to connect with him to share some of to get this course, contact here, instructor Fofuxo from Toronto. And what is your social media again, so people can find you?
So social media can be found on Instagram, Capoeira Toronto, or the Canadian Center for Capoeira, or just short T like Toronto, C like Cranberry, C like Cranberry 4, C. So tcc4c.com, or just the hashtag. You'll be able to find us anywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Google.
Okay.
Information will be on there, and we're always happy to have new people. Would love to have people that are interesting to join us as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And there you can find some of the capoeira course. 100% guarantee that you are going to learn a lot of stuff there, and just enjoy and keep training. All right. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon, and let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, man. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to
Yeah.
talk again soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for getting this far. Remember, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is going to help us and help me to get bigger numbers and bigger subscribers, so we can give more information. Okay, please, if you're listening, I know you're listening, I know you're watching, please give me a subscribe, give me a like. Okay, I know you're watching right here or listening. All right, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening every single episode, especially the episode we just did. All right, thank you so much. Peace.